Is innovation an art or a science? Or is it something more, a hidden alchemy that only a select few ever master? Think of the greatest companies, the ones that didn't just succeed but rewrote the rules of business. They weren't just efficient. They weren't just creative. They cracked a code, a formula so potent yet so elusive that most corporations, despite their vast resources, fail to grasp it. And here's the shocking part. This formula isn't some trade secret locked away in a Silicon Valley vault. It's in plain sight, dissected and laid bare in the Design of Business by Roger Martin. But almost nobody follows it. Why? Because it challenges everything we've been taught about how business should work. It defies the corporate obsession with predictability, the relentless pursuit of efficiency, the illusion that spreadsheets and strategy decks alone can shape the future. The companies that rise to the top don't just analyze the past, they design the future. They don't just optimize what exists, they create what doesn't. They move through a hidden process, a transformation that turns wild, ambiguous mysteries into precise, scalable systems. This is the real game, and if you don't play it, you're already losing. Most businesses operate like a shipbuilder trying to perfect the construction of wooden vessels while steam engines are being invented. They refine, they optimize, they cut costs, but they never stop to ask, are we even building the right thing? The moment they realize their mistake, it's already too late. But those who understand the knowledge funnel, those who navigate the delicate balance between reliability and exploration, are the ones who don't just adapt to change, they dictate it. They're the ones who spot patterns in the chaos before anyone else does. The ones who turn uncertainty into an advantage. The ones who leave the rest scrambling to catch up. This is not just about business. It's about how ideas become reality. How the best innovators don't choose between logic and intuition, data and creativity, structure and spontaneity. They integrate. They transcend. They think in a way most people can't even see. And yet this mindset is rarely taught. It's rarely understood. Because it doesn't fit neatly into an MBA syllabus or a corporate playbook. It's messy, it's unpredictable, but it's also the only way forward. Today we're pulling back the curtain on this hidden blueprint. We're breaking down the strategies behind the world's most groundbreaking companies, the ones who don't just survive disruption, but cause it. If you're ready to stop thinking like a manager and start thinking like a designer, let's begin. Every breakthrough starts as a mystery, a foggy, ill-defined puzzle that no one quite knows how to solve. It's the moment before the light bulb turns on when something feels just out of reach, too complex, too unstructured, too undefined. And this is where most people stop. They see uncertainty and walk away. But the great innovators, they lean in. Roger Martin's The Design of Business exposes a pattern behind every major innovation, a hidden sequence that all great ideas move through, whether the people behind them realize it or not. It's called the knowledge funnel. And it's the reason some companies turn ideas into empires, while others are left wondering what went wrong. The journey begins in mystery, the raw, uncharted territory where problems have no obvious solution. Think about the earliest days of aviation. Before the Wright brothers took flight, the idea of a human soaring through the skies was nothing more than a fantasy, an unsolved puzzle that many had attempted but none had mastered. The science wasn't there, the engineering wasn't there. Just the dream, surrounded by uncertainty. Then comes heuristic, the moment when patterns emerge, a guiding principle, a rough framework, something that works, even if it's not perfect. The Wright brothers cracked this stage by building wind tunnels, testing different wing shapes, and discovering lift dynamics. Their experiments weren't precise algorithms, but they worked well enough to guide the next steps. This is the inflection point where innovation either moves forward or dies. The companies that thrive are the ones willing to embrace iteration, to take risks without having all the answers. Finally, algorithm, where the unknown transforms into the repeatable. What was once unpredictable becomes a set of rules, a formula, a system. Boeing, Airbus, the entire modern aviation industry. None of it exists without that transition. The act of flying is no longer a mystery. It's a process, optimized and perfected, so reliable that we barely think about it anymore. And this is where the paradox of success begins. Companies chase efficiency, they scale their algorithms, they build empires. But in doing so, they often forget where they started. They optimize themselves into stagnation, reinforcing what they already know instead of questioning what they don't. They become so focused on running the machine that they stop designing new ones. The greatest innovators understand this cycle. They don't just refine algorithms. They go back to mystery. They ask new questions. They break their own systems before someone else does. And yet, most companies resist this. They cling to their formulas, convinced that what worked yesterday will work tomorrow. They don't see the disruption coming until it's already here. The real advantage isn't in having a perfect system, it's in knowing when to abandon it, when to step back into uncertainty, when to rediscover the unknown. Because the companies that stay at the top aren't the ones that get stuck in the final stage of the knowledge funnel. They're the ones that master the entire cycle, over and over again. Success is the most dangerous drug in business. The moment a company finds something that works, something profitable, scalable, repeatable, it clings to it like a life raft. Every decision, every strategy, every resource is funneled into protecting that formula, making it more efficient, more predictable, more reliable, and that's the trap. Roger Martin lays it out clearly. Businesses operate on two competing forces, reliability and exploration. One optimizes for certainty, the other thrives on the unknown. And most companies, they bet everything on reliability. Because reliability is comfortable, it's measurable. It turns business into a science of predictability, squeezing out inefficiencies, refining systems, doubling down on what's already proven. It's what makes production lines faster, supply chains smoother, earnings reports more attractive to investors. But it's also what kills innovation. Because the companies that only chase reliability stop exploring. They stop asking, what's next? And instead focus on squeezing every last drop from what already works. They don't see the cracks forming in their own foundation until it's too late. Think about the giants that once seemed unstoppable. Companies that built entire industries on a winning formula, only to be blindsided by new players who weren't optimizing the old game but rewriting the rules entirely. Not because they had more resources, not because they were more efficient, but because they had something far more powerful, a willingness to explore. Exploration is messy. It doesn't guarantee results. It embraces uncertainty, experiments with ideas that might fail, chases possibilities that don't fit neatly into spreadsheets. It's the reason some companies gamble on technologies that seem ridiculous at first, only to reshape entire industries. The harsh truth is that most businesses don't fail because they make bad decisions. They fail because they stop making bold ones. They get stuck in a cycle of refining the past instead of designing the future. And the ones that do try to innovate, they often do it with one fatal mistake. They treat it as an isolated effort. They set up innovation labs separate from the core business, where ideas are brainstormed in sleek conference rooms, but never truly integrated. Because deep down, leadership still values efficiency over uncertainty. They want innovation without risk, exploration with guaranteed results. And that's not how real breakthroughs happen. The companies that win aren't just reliable, they aren't just experimental, they are both. They build systems that work, but they also know when to break them. They optimize for today while relentlessly searching for what will define tomorrow. Because the moment a company believes it has everything figured out is the moment it starts falling behind. And by the time it realizes what's happening, someone else has already rewritten the rules. Most people see the world in binaries. It's either this or that, safe or risky, analytical or creative, short-term or long-term. Success, we're told, is about choosing the right path, making the right trade-offs, cutting away the unnecessary and focusing on what works. But the greatest leaders, the ones who redefine industries, rewrite history, and reshape the way we live, don't think like that. They refuse to choose. Roger Martin calls it integrative thinking, and it's the hidden superpower behind every transformative decision in business. The ability to hold two opposing ideas in your mind, not just tolerating the tension between them, but using that friction to build something better than either option alone. Most people see problems as choices between A or B, but great leaders, they ask, why not both? Or better yet, what if there's a C we haven't even considered? Take the age-old battle between cost and quality. Conventional wisdom says you can have one or the other. You can either build something premium and expensive or mass-produce something cheap and accessible. But the companies that refuse to accept that trade-off, who push to deliver high quality at scale, are the ones that change entire industries. Look at the automotive world. For decades, it was assumed that electric vehicles had to be either practical and boring or luxurious and expensive. Then came a company that ignored that false choice. A company that asked, what if we could have performance and sustainability? What if we could make electric cars aspirational, something people actually desire? And the result? An entire industry forced to rethink its future. Or consider the supposed contradiction between human craftsmanship and machine efficiency. For years, companies either prioritized the personal touch of handcrafted products or maximized speed and scale with automation. But those who saw beyond this division, who integrated the precision of machines with the artistry of human skill, became pioneers in industries ranging from fashion to technology. The greatest breakthroughs don't come from choosing between two opposing forces. They come from fusing them into something entirely new. But here's the challenge. Our brains are wired to seek certainty. We want clear answers, defined paths, simple solutions. And integrative thinking? It thrives in discomfort. It requires leaders to resist the urge to settle for the obvious, to challenge conventional wisdom, to keep searching even when the answer isn't clear. That's why most companies don't operate this way. It's easier to follow best practices than to question them. Easier to optimize what exists than to create something new. Easier to believe in trade-offs than to imagine alternatives. But the leaders who master this skill, they don't just find better solutions. They find the solutions everyone else overlooked. The solutions that seem obvious after they've changed the world. Ideas don't survive first contact with reality. No matter how brilliant something sounds in a pitch meeting, no matter how airtight the strategy looks on paper, no matter how much data supports a decision, until it's tested in the real world, it's nothing more than a theory. That's why the companies that win aren't the ones that think they have the best ideas. They're the ones that prove it, fast. They don't just plan, they prototype, they experiment, they launch before they're ready. But most companies don't. Most companies want certainty before they act. They want fully formed, polished ideas backed by months, sometimes years of research. They want proof before they take the first step. And in doing so, they guarantee one thing. By the time they finally move, they're already behind. Roger Martin exposes this fatal flaw. Businesses obsessed with reliability treat innovation like a high-stakes gamble, as if a single bad idea could sink the entire company. But the best innovators? They see it for what it really is, a process of continuous discovery. They build prototypes, not just to validate what they think they know, but to uncover what they don't. They test ideas not to avoid failure, but to fail intelligently, refining, adjusting, and improving before committing to full-scale execution. Look at how revolutionary products actually come to life. They don't emerge fully formed. They evolve through iteration, through feedback, through relentless trial and error. The first versions are clunky, imperfect, sometimes even embarrassing, but that's the point. Because what matters isn't starting with the perfect solution, it's getting to the perfect solution before anyone else does. Think about the world of architecture. Before a skyscraper is built, there are models, 3D renderings, stress tests. No one just draws up a blueprint and starts construction, hoping the math holds up. Yet in business, leaders do this all the time. They greenlight massive projects based on theory instead of testing assumptions in smaller, lower-risk environments. The irony? They think they're minimizing risk. But in reality, they're doing the opposite. Because the greatest risk isn't trying something new and failing. It's betting everything on an idea that was never tested in the first place. Prototyping isn't just about improving products. It's about improving thinking. It forces businesses to confront reality sooner, to adapt faster, to make decisions based on evidence, not speculation. And yet, most companies resist. They cling to the illusion that bold ideas should be fully developed before they see the light of day. But history proves otherwise. The companies that dominate industries are the ones that build, test, learn, repeat. The ones that treat every idea like an evolving experiment, not a fixed plan. Because in the end, innovation isn't about avoiding failure. It's about making failure work for you. Innovation doesn't happen in isolation. It's not just the genius of a single visionary, the brilliance of a lone inventor, or the breakthrough of an R&D department tucked away in the corner of a corporation. Innovation is cultural. It's embedded in the DNA of an organization, woven into the way decisions are made, risks are taken, and ideas are nurtured. And yet, most companies kill it before it even has a chance to grow. Why? Because they reward efficiency over originality. They celebrate predictability over possibility. They hire for compliance instead of curiosity. And then they wonder why their employees don't think outside the box, when in reality, they were never given permission to. Roger Martin makes it clear, companies that innovate consistently don't do so by accident. They design environments where experimentation isn't punished, bold ideas aren't suffocated, and failure isn't fatal, it's fuel. But here's the problem. Most organizations say they want innovation, but their actions betray them. They demand breakthrough thinking, but impose rigid processes. They encourage risk-taking, but penalize failure. They talk about agility, but bury employees under layers of bureaucracy. And then, when disruptive ideas finally do emerge, they're either dismissed as impractical or smothered by risk-averse leadership. True innovation cultures don't just allow exploration, they expect it. They create spaces where ideas are tested, challenged, and refined, not shut down before they can evolve. They build psychological safety, where employees aren't afraid to take creative risks because failure isn't a career-ending move, it's part of the process. Think about the environments where true breakthroughs happen. They aren't polished boardrooms filled with executives nodding at PowerPoint slides. They're messy workshops, open forums, fast-moving teams that prototype ideas instead of debating them to death. They aren't built on rigid hierarchies where all decisions flow downward. They empower people at every level to contribute, experiment, and challenge conventional thinking. And the companies that get this right, they don't just react to change, they create it. They aren't blindsided by disruption because they're the ones causing it. But there's one final truth that most leaders don't want to hear. Building a culture of innovation means giving up control. It means replacing rigid approval chains with rapid iteration. It means making decisions faster, acting before all the answers are known, and trusting people to think for themselves. Most businesses aren't willing to do this. They want innovation without uncertainty, creativity without risk, transformation without disruption. But the ones that break through, the ones that redefine industries, understand that real innovation isn't just about what you create. It's about how you think, how you lead, and most importantly, what you're willing to let go of.